How's it going? This is Hoiman, and today we're taking a look at the S.H.Figuarts Space Sheriff Gavan Type G version. So I'd just like to point out this is the 2.0 auto renewal version. So for the front you have a nice illustration of the actual figure with a nice space background. The sides of the box, you have the illustration of the figure again and then the name. The top, pretty much a similar thing, same on the bottom, and in the back you have various pictures of the figure and then some legal stuff. So to open the box, lift open the side flap and then just pull out the figure like so, and then you just lift open the front cover. So there's the figure all together with its accessories. So first you do get some instructions just showing how to operate the accessories. And here's the actual figure. So because this is a newer version from the older, the sculpt and articulation on this figure is definitely improved quite a bit. So looking at the head, they've definitely captured the likeness of the suit really well. Looks pretty much just like the character from all angles, and the head itself is molded in really nice silver chrome, so it's really nice and shiny, and then all the details and buttons on the head are nice and metallic. Looks really nice, stands out really well, and then the visor itself is a translucent piece, and you have the illuminated blue eyes underneath. Has a really nice effect to it, and then all the panel linings are painted in nice metallic black as well to bring out the sculpt and detail, and all that continues down to the torso. Really nice sculpt work on the panel lining and armor. All the buttons and stuff are again painted in nice metallic paints, and then this part here is actually just stickers, but you do get the nice detailing effect in there as well. Moving to the shoulder, nice panel lining with the sculpt work, and then all the shiny buttons continue as well. Overall looks really nice and effective. And then the crotch, again, nice sculpt work with the panel linings, and then overall the chrome finish adds a really nice effect. And again, it continues all the way down to the legs. Really nice sculpt work for the most part. And then all the black parts are molded in a nice matte black. So it's a really nice contrast from the matte black to the shiny chrome. And then the feet are really well sculpted for the most part as well. But there isn't really any detailing on the soles. But they are nice and metallic finish anyway, so overall it still looks quite nice. So in terms of sculpt, it's definitely an improvement over the older figure. So for articulation, the neck is on a double ball joint, so he can look down about that much, but the chin does start to restrict it a bit. He can look up about that much, tilt his head side to side as well as twist. The shoulder is on the ball joint that's connected deep into the torso, and then there's this separate piece around the shoulder that cups around the joint to hide it, but overall you still get really good range of articulation. And then the shoulder piece itself is actually changed from the older version. The older version actually had a movable shoulder, but this one's actually sculpted into the shoulder. So in a way it does kind of restrict the shoulder articulation very slightly. And I suppose it looks a bit odd as well from certain angles when you display the figure. But I think overall it's still quite a bit of an improvement, but I guess it's going to be varying on who you ask if it's overall an improvement or not. But for me it seems to work fine, but like I said, it is a bit restricting. But like I've already showed, the shoulder is on a hinge. And then you can also move his arm forward and back. He's got the bicep swivel. and then double jointed elbows, and then he's got ball jointed wrists, but they are quite restricted due to the armor. The torso is on a double ball joint, so you can lean forward about that much, lean back that much, not really a whole lot. You can lean side to side and also twist, and you can actually extend his torso like so until you hear the click, and that allows for a lot more range, but it does leave quite a big gap, but from certain angles it doesn't really matter too much in terms of posing. And then for the hips, you have the old style pull down method. So he can pull out his leg like so, and they are on ball joints, so he can kick about that far to the side, kick forward about that much, but I will say it does kind of rub the chrome against the crotch and his thigh, so you have to be careful you don't scratch it or anything when you move the leg forward. Kick back about that much. He has the thigh swivel, and then he's got double jointed knees, and then he's got the ball jointed ankle, so you can lean forward back that much, lean forward about that much. He has the pivot as well, and then finally the toe hinge. And like you've probably already saw, but it is a bit restricting around the ankle due to the armor, and because the foot is sculpted really high up as well, it does kind of limit it quite a bit, but you should be able to get most of the poses that you want still. So again, overall the articulation is an improvement over the older figure. But that's the figure. Let's take a look at the accessories. So for hands, he comes with a pair of fists, a pair of open palmed hands, 2 hands to hold the laser sword, and then 2 styled posing hands. So you also do get his laser sword, which is the newer version from the crossover movie with Deca Ranger. So the hilt itself has really nice sculpt work and detailing. Looks really nice, but I will say the wash is kind of all over the place. It's not quite even, so it just really looks splodged on rather than kind of faded on. So it does look a bit odd. But the blade itself is really well sculpted, nice metallic silver, and it's quite a sturdy piece, but at the same time you have to be careful of it. You get another sword, but with the translucent blue for the laser. Looks really nice. And on this sword, the shading on the handles shaded a lot cleaner, I feel. And then finally you get a sword effect as well. So again, the handle is really nicely sculpted and shaded. And then the nice translucent effect for the strike of the blade looks really nice as well. And it fades off in a nice metallic tips as well. Has a really nice effect. And overall the piece isn't really that heavy, so the figure can hold it just fine. And then finally you get an alternate head with the eyes inside truly illuminated. But I don't feel it's really much of a difference though. It's quite hard to tell the massive difference between them. So my thoughts are, I used to own the original version that released, and from my experience, this 2.0 version is definitely an improvement over the older figure. Feels a lot more sturdy, the sculpt work is kind of more detailed and accurate, the articulation has been improved. But I think the biggest improvement I have is probably the ball jointed wrist. With the older version, they were really thin, and unfortunately one of them even broke. So with this 2.0 version, the ball joints are a lot thicker and sturdy, so they shouldn't break too easily on you. So that's the biggest improvement for me overall. But despite that, I do have a few gripes with the figure. So overall, you can still see some seam lines of how they put the figure together. And because it's on a chrome finish, it can be quite noticeable, especially down the shoulder here. And then there are seam lines that kind of run down the arms as well, but overall, they're not super noticeable, but I just thought I'd point them out. And overall, the paintwork on the figure is very nice and clean for the most part, but there are some really odd splodges, like the black line here not quite being that clean. But again, it's very minor and overall doesn't really affect the figure too much. My biggest gripe was probably the stickers on the torso here. So overall it looks really nice, but for me personally, they're really illuminated, and from what I've seen of the show, they mainly illuminate this bright whenever you use this head with it. So that's when he powers up for his attacks. But when he's not using his attacks, it's usually quite a darker tone of blues and it doesn't really show up as much. So because it's so illuminated, in terms of accuracy, it kind of forces you to have to use this head rather than the default head, because it kind of doesn't make sense in that case. But that's a very show accurate kind of gripe. So overall, it doesn't really affect the figure too much unless you're a purist on accuracy with these things. But moving on, like I already said, I do feel that the two heads don't really offer that much variety. I think it would have been nice if maybe for the default visor you don't see the eyes at all, so it's just a black visor. And then this head you actually have the illuminated eyes, so it just kind of makes them more different in that sense. But it's a very minor gripe. It's nothing really that really hinders the figure too much. I guess another gripe I have with the figure is, although it's a nice touch to have the figure sculpted in nice chrome finish, it does unfortunately leave a lot of fingerprint marks. So whenever you display the figure in certain angles, you do start to see the fingerprint marks. So I suppose that's not really something that can be held, but it's just something I thought I'd point out. But overall, like I already said, this is a big improvement over the older figure. Feels a lot more sturdier, much more details and show accurate. And it's just an overall big improvement over the older figure. And if you're a fan of this character or the show, then I can highly recommend this figure still. But he is a web exclusive figure, so the price of him is quite expensive. But if you can find him for a decent price, then I'm pretty sure you won't be disappointed with the purchase. But that's my review. Thank you for watching and enjoy some pictures.